Sega.
Hey, this is Steven from Legit PC, and this is my review of Company of Heroes 2. This game's really cool. It's an RTS game. So first we're going to jump into the video options. So you have not too many video options. You do have some high and very high options and stuff like that. Anti-aliasing, definitely an anti-aliasing game. It plays very well, except for when there's a whole bunch of explosions and stuff. You will get some high frame drop in that particular case, and so depending on what kind of system you have, you might want to go medium, or if you don't really care too much about the graphics, then go medium. You're still going to see all the units. It's not like you won't see somebody in a corner like you would in Call of Duty. So you could have this on really low and still play, and then do VSync and save your graphics card. In this case, I had it maxed out as far as I could on my 660 GTX Ti, and show you what you could get with this type of card and what the game would look like maxed out. So this particular game was really fun. It's the first time I played an RTS game in a while. I didn't play any of the other Company of Heroes before this one. So it is it's pretty cool, and it doesn't have very many problems. I found that it's really cool playing as the Russians, and it definitely talks a lot about World War II, and you do get a lot of the mentality of how the Russian army acted in World War II. Which is very interesting, as well as the characters are pretty cool. And it does even have a story, but kind of not really. Of course, the story plays on World War II, but it does have some character story that exists in the game, things like that. Plenty of different vehicles and units to pick from. It's basically... It's more of a strategy than a RTS game. There is some buildings and stuff like that. In the multiplayer, it's more of an RTS than in the single player. In the single player, it's more of a strategy game. And I do have some multiplayer footage on here that I'm going to show. I have some against bots, and I have some against real players. And we'll talk about that as well. So here we have, special units, like some. In the game, you capture some units, like some tanks would just be empty, very low health, engine damage, stuff like that. The previous crew abandoned the tank. You go take it, and then use your mechanics to upgrade the tank. And then now you have a new tank. But you find that the German forces really have strong tanks. And you can still play as the German forces, of course, not in the campaign. In the multiplayer, you can play as the German forces as well as the Russian forces. So you get, which is kind of unfortunate when you get into multiplayer, because now all of a sudden you're playing as a faction that you never got to play as in single player. So you kind of don't really know. as far as that. Even though they're much different, all their units are different, their looks are different. Like for example, the sniper rifle team. In the German team, you only have one sniper rifle. In the Russian team, you'll have 2 snipers. What else? So as you see, the game runs really smooth on this. You know, as long as there's no artillery shooting in or anything like that, and blowing up the ground, and a whole bunch of tanks and artillery firing all over the place, it'll stay pretty consistent. And you saw there a wall blow up. A lot of the environment is destructible, as well as, you know, you hit a tree and the tree blows apart and pieces fall all over the place and things like that. So it is a pretty simplified RTS game, especially as far as a single player. It's more of a strategy game. But it's got a pretty decent playthrough time. And we see what the playthrough time is very quickly. It was about a 15-hour playthrough time, which includes, you know, some multiplayer playing to get a good idea. So, you know, there's like 15 missions or whatever like that, and each of them is pretty specialized. There's only a couple of them where you play as a actual like special unit where it has special abilities or whatever, which is kind of unfortunate. You don't really get to play too much of like, oh hey, this mission you only get this unit. In this mission you get the IS, the big tanks there. You can only build 2 of them, which is, I guess, technically a special unit for this one. Here is this is one of the final maps, huge battle here, and you get a good idea of what goes on in these huge battles. You know, you have tanks that are buried in, artillery.
Comrades, another one of those howitzers!
And then there it took out one of my big ISs. And here I have mostly a lot of tanks, which in this game you can't really get through a whole area with just tanks. There'll be Panzerschrecks and all different kinds of anti-tank stuff, as well as mines and things like that. So you do need, which I learned here, which is the attack fails, because I don't have infantry as well as armor to defend, to attack this position. But this gives you a good idea of what the large tank battles look like, or one of the larger battles. Also, some things I don't have footage of on this, which do occur in the game, is that there is some like Arctic warfare stuff in here, where if you're walking through the snow or whatever, your units start to freeze, so you have to stay near a fire to keep your units warm. Otherwise, they start dying off, which adds to the strategy. And the same thing could happen to your enemy, so you keep your enemy out of the fire. You could build a fire yourself in a location that you want to hold. And in the multiplayer, they have that as well, that your units can freeze and things like that. So that, as well as things that happen in the map, like blizzards and things like that, happen as well. So I thought that the single player was pretty exciting, even though I'm more of a, I love the Command and Conquer Generals games. I was a really big fan of those games. But here, of course, you have all different kinds of units and things like that. It's a little different than Command and Conquer Generals.
Not one step back, comrades.
Here you see more RTS things where, like, you see the smoke, that's an artillery strike. So they'll call an artillery strike where they think you're going to be. In this case, I kind of walk into it because I have just infantry and I can't move as quickly. But here I have a lot of sniper teams to take out these positions with just infantry, which that's what I use on that previous map. I have with tanks. I built a lot of tanks and a lot of snipers to take out all the snipers that are dug in. And I would definitely say that this helps with how you do in multiplayer. The levels in campaign and in multiplayer are shared, which, you know, some people I played with in multiplayer were level 100 already, or level 64, or 58, or pretty high level.
Contact with enemy infantry.
The enemy has killed another infantry squad.
Target down.
So here you see that
Conscripts, help out that squad.
that it is challenging, but the AI in this game can be really dumb, depending on what difficulty you pick. Like, they won't often charge your base with a high unit count. They'll send like one batch of infantry towards your base. I think, and that, you know, if you don't have anybody back there, then they'll, you know, torch it. Which sometimes I won't leave anybody back there, and they'll actually catch me off guard. But then I just send one of those troops there. Just send that to my base, and they'll walk up and kill whatever's left.
Secure the area and build up a strike force to hit the Germans.
Yes, sir.
Work fast. You'll need to hit them hard with everything you've got. You will not be able to match
As well
their
as
strength
you have
without your
choices in the
direct-
game whether you want to whether you want to take out
Relocate.
key positions or leave them be and just go through towards the end.
IL-2 overflight in progress.
I am on the way.
And also in the campaign you could unlock stuff like different kinds of camos for your tank during multiplayer, or new unit type things, unit upgrades, or generals. They're basically generals where in multiplayer they have different types of
Move
capabilities
into
and
position
stuff.
around the German camps. Target the officers first, then deal with any retaliating forces.
And here is one of like the only special unit that you get.
Let's go.
Her name is Anya, and she's a sniper, right? And
Time is short.
she's a Polish sniper, and you have to get to this informant, and this is like one of the special units where she has special abilities and things like that.
Infantry attacking. Move out.
So here you have this one dark map where you have Anya and two other sniper teams, and you have to use stealth to get through this camp because you don't have any other reinforcements, no buildings, nothing to reestablish your supply of units. So you have to go and look for infirmaries and things like that in order to resupply your units to make sure that you survive longer. In this case for me, it was a bad playthrough through the mission, so I had to restart it because I lost all my ally
The Germans have a
snipers.
radio in that camp.
But you'll see,
is
like
probably linked to an
in
antenna
the
somewhere in the
command box
forest.
down there to the right,
If we can disable it,
she
we'll
has
have fewer
different
enemy
things like
reinforcements to contend
building a
with.
blind to where she'll hide in the blind and she'll fire and she'll show up. She'll come out of cloak for a couple seconds and then go back into cloak.
Keep moving.
And then even your other friendly snipers, your other friendly Polish snipers could do the same thing.
forward. Let's go.
And also you can see that units have
Let's go.
star unlocks. So you see that Anya's level 1 star. The more units you you take out or whatever, or
Let's
artillery,
keep moving.
the more stars your units get,
I have an
and the
idea.
more accomplished
Get to
and
cover.
the better they
I'm
are
going
at
to light
using
that
their
campfire.
weapons.
We'll ambush the enemy when they investigate. Let's go. We need to move. Time to move. Light a fire to lure them in. Forward. Let's go. Time is short. Keep moving.
So here, this is a lot of the strategy. There's not too much RTS in here.
Who lit that fire?
Forward. Let's go.
As you can see, this is all just straight strategy. You know, you can't build any units. There's no buildings.
Set up some sniper cover.
There's not really any currency that you have to worry too much about.
Kill the fascisti! The enemy is attacking! One less engineer! Let's move!
So also you guys will notice that this video isn't too long. The game is pretty straightforward. You know, it's got a 14-hour playthrough, and then you have to master
Better keep moving.
the online play if you want to continue playing online. Otherwise, of course, you'd move to your next game or move back to your multiplayer game or whatever,
Move your dupa.
and
Let's
have
go.
this be your secondary or however you
Time
want
is
to do
short.
it.
Keep moving. Can't stay here forever. Let's move. Let's go. We need to move.
Which, this one was definitely one of my favorite missions here. This is why I'm
Destroy that
showcasing it
structure.
so much, is that the stealth and things like that really bring out
Fire if you have to.
the type of gameplay you really do play in the
Make a
multiplayer.
blind.
It is really strategy based in the multiplayer, to where you could be very low on units and have to get the upper hand of your enemy using the very small units that you have.
We need to move.
So this next portion is just of a glitch,
Keep moving.
which there's a couple glitches. This one was pretty small but very annoying. Oh, sorry, this isn't a glitch. This is some multiplayer play. I decided not to put in that glitch. But relatively, there's not really any glitches in this game to really be shown up. This is a multiplayer game with a human player against 2 AIs. Now, of course, this was my first multiplayer game, and I was playing it. If you notice that you didn't see any of these units back in the single player, that's because I'm playing as the German squad. So a lot of these guys are very different. The units are very different from the Russians.
Projectors are now installed.
And now we have this is a multiplayer again, but all with humans. And now this particular game was my first all with humans game. I played it right after that previous clip that you saw. And basically this game with my teammates here, how it works is in multiplayer you have units at the top out of 500 at the beginning, and basically the team that either does the most damage or holds all of those star positions that you see, the big star, will win the game. So it's a lot of strategy holding those positions to make sure that you don't slowly bleed out of units. And in this case, I'm using the German squad, and I'm using a lot of snipers to prepare to take that position there. And it really gets the and it really pisses off the enemy humans there, because I have all those snipers in that house there, and it really takes them a lot of units, and it ends up winning the game for us because of that particular strategy that I used. Of course, I tried that again in the next game, and it didn't work too well. So, you know, it all depends on who exactly you're playing against. See here, they try to bring out artillery, which can't really hit that particular sniper unit too well.
Snipers on the move!
Here I brought in just another rifle team.
The enemy has engaged us!
But of course, it's too far away from the artillery to hit my other sniper team. And also, you can see that there is a lot of input lag on the servers are really laggy. there will be a lot of input lag, and sometimes the game will freeze, saying that someone's laggy, and then you have to wait for them to come back, or otherwise kick them off or whatever, tell them to get exchanged in for an AI, which really sucks, and it brings down your team a lot.
That cannon will need a new crew. Taking small arms fire.
Pioneers ready for anything! Starting construction of York Actionem.
So as you can see here, I'm holding this star position, and I have another part of my team holding the other star position.
Rifle grenades.
Moving out.
So another thing about the multiplayer is not a lot of games will be like this. As I find out from here, not all games you'll be able to win like this. And you saw a little bit of lag there. They will be really mad if you don't know really what you're doing. Like my third match, I was playing on a snow map, and I was playing all real people, and I had to cover the entire right side. Everybody else was going down the center, and it was, you know, snow and blizzard was going on and stuff like that, and I had to hold a star point. It was just they'll get really mad if you don't know what you're talking about, if you don't know what you're doing, and they'll tell you to leave, which, you know, I understand, but, you know, it's just kind of like they would rather have a computer player than have you on your team to help out. But and most of them are level like 58 or 68 or 80, some of them are 100, and you're level like 17, this is the third game you've played, and they're already level 100. And, you know, they've been playing multiplayer for a long time, this is one of their primary games, and then you try to get into it, and they're just way above, which happens in a lot of games like this, like MMOs, or RTS games similar to this, or Command & Conquer Generals, or anything like that. So just a warning that if you do want to get good at this game, you have to play either a lot with your friends, or you have to play a lot of AI games against a computer for a long time until you level up. And even if you level up, you do get unlocks for your units and upgraded units and proficiencies and snipers and infantry, grenadiers, tanks. Understand what's best for your playstyle, which general's best for your playstyle, when to use which general. You know, where are places that people like to hide. And of course, obviously, now that I learned that you could use that house to hold snipers and hold that position pretty well, which I didn't know before, but I just kind of wanted to play that way, that really helps out. And it really held that point for my team, and as you can see now, they're really bleeding out there at the top right. But not all the games work like that. Like that snow map that I was talking about, there's really there's no houses near to hold units in, and most of them have flamethrowers and will kill your snipers if they get close to the house. And in snow warfare, you can't see as far, so your snipers aren't nearly as useful. But in this case, they are, because you see that they're all within the scope. If they get anywhere in that ring and try to capture.
Infantry target down.
As well as at the same time, they're kind of feeding those units because they're building up their star. They're the star of the units and making them stronger and things like that.
Pioneers!
So that tactic pretty much held that point to where I didn't have to build too many units, and eventually I build a tank here and, you know, hold it down for my team and lead toward victory. So in conclusion for this game, it's a really cool game, 13-hour playthrough, good graphics, definitely an RTS game for you to get. even though I'm looking forward to like Company of Heroes. I mean, not Company of Heroes. Command and Conquer Online coming up here, the free-to-play game, which I'm definitely going to play and get some videos of that. But the online is definitely hard to get into. I would suggest playing with AIs. Otherwise, you know, you could just play off and on. You get kind of bored of a first-person shooter game like Call of Duty or Battlefield. If you're a first-person shooter player or an MMO player, you want to play a little bit of RTS. You know, RTS goes a long way. The strategy type games. Then this is definitely something to play on the side if you want to do that. But definitely start out playing with bots. Finish through the campaign, then play against bots. Then when you get proficient enough, play a couple of the games, because there's not too many players of this game. So most of the players are high level. So it has a really hard time matching you with lower level players because there just isn't any new players. They're all already high level playing with each other. So you'll get you're like level 17 and you get thrown into games where there's level 68s or 70s or 100s. Which is cool if you enjoy the competitiveness, if you know how to play it, but otherwise, you know, it's pretty difficult. So yeah, definitely a great game. One of the best RTSs recently. So if you're really into RTS games or strategy games, this is definitely one to buy. It's a pretty good deal, and I would highly recommend it. So this has been Steven from Legit PC, and this is my review of Company Heroes 2. If you like my videos, please subscribe for more videos like it, and thanks for watching.